At the time, the Sumerian civilization was developing in Mesopotamia. Other civilizations were growing in Europe, Asia, and Africa. A group of people settled in northeastern Africa in a land called Egypt. These people were the descendants of Mizraim, a son of Ham and grandson of Noah. In the Bible, the land is called Mizraim. There's a Mizraim right here. But it is usually translated um, Egypt. Let me see. Um, Let me show you the map of Egypt right there. So, several Old Testament accounts took place in Egypt. Now, if you were to fly over Egypt, pretend we're flying right now, you would see thin ribbon of green cutting a desert into two parts. Running through that green ribbon, you will see a long blue thread, the Nile River. The Nile River is the longest river in the world. It begins in Central Africa and runs. Let me show you here again. Go back here, and runs 4,000 miles north to the Mediterranean Sea. Okay. Now, imagine how the descendants of Mizraim felt when they saw the mighty Nile River for the first time. They're like, "Oh wow!" I bet that's one of the reaction. So Egypt has been called the gift of the Nile. Without the Nile River, Egypt as we know it would have not existed. The Nile was a necessary part of ancient Egyptian life. The geography of Egypt protected the people from most outside invasions. The vast and treacherous desert, the Sahara, provided protection from enemies in the east and the west. As the Nile flows through the Sahara, sections of the river become very shallow and rocky, causing dangerous rapids. These areas are called cataracts. Six cataracts appear along the path of the Nile. The cataracts slowed the advancement of invaders using the river to attack from the south. The Nile River provided other benefits for the river or for the people. The Egyptians depended on the Nile for food and water. So if you look here in front of you, I have the list of the different importance of the Nile River. We have transportation. They use it for transportation in boats up the river and back down it. So they use it for trading and traveling. Also for food. They use for animals and for people as well. They use for drinking, for cooking, and that's for the fresh water. And they get their food from like fish from the river as well. Now irrigation, it is used for irrigation to draw water from it for their plantation. It like I just read, they use it for protection from invaders due to the mountains to the south and deserts on both sides and the Mediterranean Sea to the north. And the irrigation has something to do with agriculture, so it's part of their agriculture. So now flooded each year, depositing rich soil on its banks necessary to grow crops. The Egyptians depended on the Nile for food and water. Wherever the Nile flowed, plants grew nearby. However, where there was no water, all was desert. At the edge of some Egyptian farms, a person could stand with one foot in green grass and the other foot in yellow desert sand. The Nile River became a useful highway for transportation. Travelers and traders navigated the river. Trade settlements developed near the cataracts, where river traffic slowed. Most major rivers we are familiar with flow from north to south. The Nile, however, flows from south to north. Um, the current floated boats northward. Now, winds blowing from the north move boats with sails southward against the current. Egyptians throughout history honored and gave thanks to the Nile. They gave it the nickname Happy, which means well fed, or fat. They worship the Nile as a god rather than acknowledging God who created the Nile. Now, the following lines are from the Egyptians' um, Hymn to the Nile. It's found in your book on page 57, and you can read through it if you want. But let's take a look at Egypt today. The Arab Republic of Egypt is located, let me see here, in northeastern Africa. So ancient Egypt was the land along the Nile River. You can see that Nile River right there. So Egypt is bordered by Libya to the west, and then Sudan to the south. Then we have the Red Sea to the east, and the Mediterranean Sea to the north. Egypt has hot, dry summers and moderate winters. Uh, Temperatures range from 107 degrees Fahrenheit in the summer to 55 degrees Fahrenheit in the winter. The land is dominated by the Nile River and its valley. Desert lies to the east and west of the Nile. The Sinai Peninsula is in the eastern Egypt. Egypt's greatest natural resource is water from the Nile River. Other natural resources include iron ore, petroleum, natural gas, phosphate, limestone, manganese, talc, zinc, asbestos, gypsum, and lead.